These are the Hexham Heads, two small stone carvings, roughly the size of tennis balls. They were unearthed in a suburban garden in England in 1971. They're crude, almost childlike in their design, with simple yet unsettling features. But these aren't just any ancient artifacts. They're said to be cursed, linked to strange occurrences, terrifying visions, and werewolves. This is the bizarre and baffling story of the Hexham Heads. Hexham, England, 1971. Two young brothers, Colin and Leslie Robson, were playing in their garden when they made a remarkable discovery. Digging in the soil, they unearthed two small stone heads. The heads were roughly spherical, with crudely carved features, simple eyes, noses, and mouths. They had short, neck-like stems, suggesting they might have once been attached to larger figures. At first, the boys thought they'd found something ancient, perhaps relics of Roman Britain, which wasn't uncommon in that area. But when they brought the heads inside, things started to get weird. Objects in the house began to move on their own. The heads themselves were said to swivel, their crude stone eyes seeming to follow people around the room. And then there were the sightings. Terrifying, inexplicable sightings of a werewolf-like creature roaming the house. The family next door, the Dodds, experienced even more intense phenomena. They reported invisible forces pulling their hair, and most disturbingly, seeing a half-man, half-sheep creature prowling through their home. The story of the Hexham Heads and the terrifying events surrounding them quickly spread. The local newspapers picked it up, and soon the national media was captivated by the tale of the cursed stone carvings and the werewolf sightings. And then an expert entered the picture. Dr. Anne Ross, an archaeologist specializing in Celtic artifacts, became intrigued by the Hexham Heads. She examined them, studied them, and declared them to be genuine Celtic heads, dating back perhaps 1,800 years. She even took the heads to her own home for further study. And that's when things got even weirder. Dr. Ross, a respected academic, a scholar of ancient cultures, reported experiencing similar phenomena to the Robsons and the Dodds. Cold spots, doors opening and closing on their own, and, most incredibly, sightings of a wolf-like creature in her home. A respected archaeologist claiming to see a werewolf, all because of two small stone heads. It was a story that defied logic, that challenged rational explanation, and it made the Hexham Heads infamous, turning them from a curious local find into objects of national fascination and fear. But then the story took another, even more unexpected turn. A man named Desmond Craigie, who had lived in the Robsons' house before them, came forward with a startling confession. He had made the heads. Craigie, a construction worker, explained that he'd carved the heads in 1956 during his lunch breaks as a simple amusement for his daughter. He'd used local stone, and he'd made 3, not 2. He'd buried them in the garden and forgotten all about them. A chemical analysis of the stone seemed to confirm Craigie's story. The Hexham Heads weren't ancient Celtic artifacts. They were modern creations, the product of a bored worker's idle hands. Case closed, right? A hoax, a misunderstanding, a case of mass hysteria fueled by local folklore and a respected academic's overactive imagination. But what about the werewolf sightings? What about the strange occurrences reported by multiple witnesses in multiple locations? Were they all lying? Were they all victims of a collective delusion? Or is there something more to the Hexham Heads, something that defies rational explanation. And here's another twist. The Hexham Heads disappeared. After passing through the hands of various researchers and paranormal investigators, they vanished, their current whereabouts unknown. And the third head, the one Craigie claimed to have made, it's never been found. The Hexham Heads remain an enigma, a puzzling mixture of folklore, hoax, and genuinely unexplained phenomena. They're a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary objects can become imbued with extraordinary stories, that the line between reality and fantasy can blur, and that even in the modern world there are mysteries that defy logic, that challenge our understanding, and that continue to send a chill down the spine.